get started with what we wanted to do, we just knew that we needed something for people to come together, start sharing ideas, sharing what they can do well and what they could teach others to do well. And we started from there with a couple ideas, and then we just kind of went from there. And then more and more people kind of joined in, and then other people started giving us ideas like, hey, I know a person who does sourdough, or hey, I know a person that raises rabbits. And so it just started with one topic, and then we added all the other topics in. So we just had lots of fun. I really enjoyed just, of course, the animals. These are the animals from Grampy's Petting Zoo, and they are just so much fun. So we had the petting zoo, and we did the petting zoo for the kids, but I think the adults enjoyed it just as much. We had so many great presentations. Unfortunately, I'm kind of running around and doing everything else, so I didn't get to sit in on the presentations, but we try to video them all so that I can go back and watch them later. And then all the vendors. I think I've spent most of our profits on vendors because we had so many good things to pick from. So many people that did handcrafts. We even had some kids that came and had their own creations that they had done, whether it was crocheted or drawings. It was just so fun to see the kids joining in and starting to learn about, making their own money and doing their own things.
Girls! Thank you so much!
So wait, come here. Tell me what just happened. Speak up really loud so I can hear you.
We got $5 tip.
That's awesome.
Yes, we did.
You weren't excited, were you?
No,
I didn't
Tell
think
me
so.
that $10 is too much. When you plant a seed, sometimes if you water it too much after you've planted it, the seed moves around and it goes somewhere different. So if you put a little bit of water in before you plant your seed, then you can just do your maintenance watering afterwards.
Like their window at home.
Yes.
How often do you think they should water?
So for things to grow, you need to check on them every day. And the best way to check is to just stick your finger in the side and just see is it still as wet as it was when I left the event today. And if it's not, add a little bit of water.
So the first one when I think about it is who. So who's going to be doing the gardening? Are you both going to be doing it? It's a family project, a partnership between you. Are more people going to be involved, or is it just going to be the two of you? You want to think about that because that impacts what you plant, where you're planting it, and all the other who, what, where, when, and why. So,
and I think for our family, it all comes down to freedom. If I had to sum everything up, so we really enjoy food freedom, being able to know the source of our food and the quality and the amount of care that it takes to be able to put up that food and save it for later times. And medical freedom, being able to teach our family how to decide what products they use or what remedies they lean on in order to take care of the little everyday things that come up, but also just to build a healthier terrain for their own bodies so that they're stronger. And we just love empowering people with that. I think you can't put a price tag on knowledge. I think a lot of times nowadays everything is outsourced and we're just leaning back into community and home really to make sure that we're teaching those things generationally, but it may be been lost over the years.
So we finally nailed her down and got the recipe, and I've got copies of that. So after you taste it, if you like it, you can come pick up the recipe. And so when we're done, we've got biscuits to try it on.
right, Heather?
Heather already knows how good Mom's sausage jerky is. So she's just browning out with the butter, and then you can pretty much use any kind of, your favorite fat here. You don't have to use sausage. Actually, my favorite gravy that Mom makes, we called it milk gravy. Some people call it white gravy.
I'm going to go over the basics of indoor cultivation, just start to finish, what it takes to build a mushroom grow kit, and then also the conditions required to get a kit to fruit out properly. So that way you don't have to necessarily start your own kit from start to finish. You can just buy a ready-to-grow kit.
For you to have buckets of lentils in your pantry, that's not going to help anybody, right? Like if your husband loses his job and you're without money for a while and you're eating lentils for 3 months, that's going to just suck. So nobody wants that. Better store things that you like. So we try to think about things that we want to eat, and of course things what we need to survive. So water is very important. So my husband always insists on us having plenty of bottled water around, but also something like a water filter system is also important to think about, a way to filter water. So if you were without electricity for a week or something like that, what is it that we would do for water? What's our plan?
We don't waste anything. So I don't typically make bone broth out of rotisserie. I would if I had a shortage. We're raising broilers now, so all of those bones get saved. That gets dumped in to make bone broth, and then that goes in the pressure canner too. So that's another really good source of protein that's very concentrated. If you had to survive on that bone broth for a little while, you totally could.
So fruit and vegetables, of course, that's an easy thing to add, I think, to your pantry. And again, don't store canned potatoes, if that's something you would never eat. Definitely go with something that you're going to enjoy. So a white rice is going to, if stored properly is going to be you're going to take out all of the oxygen. So like a Mylar bag is a great way to preserve rice or other grains.
Okay, so another thing that you can do is you can add garlic, put garlic cloves in water and let that sit. Oregano oil is another one, so garlic and oregano oil. Let the garlic sit overnight prior to giving it to your birds so it can release the allicin and into the water, and then that helps to also give your birds basically a natural antibiotic. So having your waters and feeders hanging at a proper levels at all stages of development, so moving it up as your birds get taller, will go a long way in reducing disease, improving feed conversion, and having an overall healthy bird. The feeders and waters should be level with the base of the neck or level with the back of the bird. So if your bird's back is here, then your water should be here. Like her head will be just above that feeder and that water. So get it up off the ground so your birds aren't eating dirty feed.
And then also you need to think about how you plan on raising them to maturity. So are you going to try to do something in confinement? You're utilizing an old barn or an old shed or outbuilding that you have on your property? Are you thinking about doing more of like a traditional layer system where they have a house and then you just give them access to a run? Are you going to free range and just set them loose and then round them up when it's time to process? Or are you going to run in mobile tractors? You can certainly, theoretically, you can raise them in any of these situations. You just have to figure out what you have to work with and how you're planning on doing it.
Learning, but having fun too. So, there's other conferences around, there's other shows around, but we really chose the name festival for a reason. We wanted the fun aspect to be blended in with the learning and the vendors and the shopping. We really wanted other things in there. So we made sure to have music and petting zoo, corn pit for the kids. We had lots of activities, and it was so much fun doing those activities with the kids. We had seed planting and painting the little chickens, all kinds of things. And it was just so much fun seeing them getting started in their homesteading, their homesteading ideas, and just really getting them started off on the right foot maybe.
Choose to go one route or the other, but know in the end game, what is it that you want? Because you don't want to say, buy what you think is your forever home, and you buy 5 acres, and then you realize, well, I really want cows. I'm gonna need a dairy cow. I also want to raise meat cattle. Okay, now we have a problem because that 5 acres may not be able to sustain what you're looking at. So is this your beginner homestead, or is this going to be your forever farm? So as you start researching and figuring out what it is you want, then you can start reaching out to a realtor.
Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul, worship His holy name. Sing like never before, oh my soul, I worship Your holy name. The sun comes up, it's a new day.
So I did some research and found some scriptures that just called to me. In 2020, what do you think was one of the most Googled searches in the world? Now, we were in lockdown on COVID, but one of the most Googled searches in the world was homesteading. It makes sense. We were on lockdown, businesses were shutting down, you couldn't really do a whole lot, couldn't do family functions, so people were looking at ways to get going and what could they do. Looking through the Bible, it led me straight to Genesis, the first chapter in the beginning of creation, starting with verse 11. Then God said, "Let the land produce vegetation, seed-bearing plants, and trees on land that bear fruit with seed in it, according to their various kinds." And it was so. The land produced vegetation, plants bearing seeds according to their kinds, and trees bearing fruit with seed according to their kinds. And God saw that was good.
So we will be back next year, April 5th and 6th, and we'd love to have you join us and see what it's all about. Grampy will be back. This little guy will probably be older by then, but he'll probably have some little brothers and sisters that will be, it's a she. She will have some brothers and sisters that will probably be joining us. The kids got a chance to feed them. We had pony rides, and just come out and see what it's all about and see what you can learn and add a new skill to your repertoire.
Thank you. That was awesome.
That's awesome.